Okay, Chandan here. I'm working with Atlassian. I'll be sharing today our work on LLM-based agents and its application to one of the very niche areas, uh, software incident management. Basically, how agents can help with the incident resolution, help assist in the resolution. Uh, why this talk could be interesting is this paper is actually an adaptation of an actual enterprise agent which is live currently being offered by Atlassian as one of their AIOps offerings. So I hope we get to learn something as I go along. Okay, so I'll touch on what we are trying to solve, followed by exactly what we are building and how we are building. Then some quicks about building at an enterprise scale and actually making it an monetized product. And then we'll see on where we are going from there, right? So software incidents. I hope those small crowd, but most of you have been aware of what incidents are, right? Not, if not as a developer, at least as an end user, your favorite e-commerce websites going down on big sale day, world airline disruption because of a bad security update to a OS, right? We all have seen that, right? As a company owner who builds softwares, it could be catastrophic for you in case you are running with a very lean team and with every moment your website is down, you might be burning millions of dollars or maybe your complete funding, right? So where you operate and at what stack you operate, this the incidents practically feels is like your house is on fire, one without an insurance, to be honest, right? So what we are trying to do. Modern day software architectures are quite complex. You have your microservices running, thousands of microservices running. Uh, my stint at Meta, they were at 1.10,000 microservices running a monolithic code. So the complexity just keeps growing, right? And a small change in one part of your architecture could take down whole system and it take you hours to debug what exactly went wrong, right? Usually organizations quantify that using a matrix called MTTR that shows your incident robustness to your incident management process, right? Where we come in, we try to help you take down this your MTTR and sort of hopefully save some money around, right? Because with each minute your website is down, you are losing your customer revenue, but you're also incurring operational costs. Developers, support team, communication team, everyone is busy trying to sort of mitigate the incident, and your PR team, everyone is busy to get things out, right? So what we what we thought of when we designed the principles of our agent, when we thought that it could help with this IT operations or incident management for any medium-sized, large-sized SaaS companies, right? So we uh, we know that incident is a war room like situation. For people who have run here, tier zero services in web-based companies, you know that it's practically, there is a lot of heat in the room. People are trying to debug problems and you cause more issues if you panic rather than actually solving the issues, right? So you need an assistant who is context aware, so they understand about your ecosystem, what you're currently trying to do, what you have done, right? Uh, it's everywhere, so it's integrated with your tools. It's there when you're going to look into the documentation. There is an assistant to help you. You are communicating on Slack. You are trying to resolve an incident. It's there with you. You are trying to resolve an incident on Zoom. It's there with you. It needs to be there real time, trying to help you out. Then only it actually helps, or it doesn't, right? And modular by design. Now this is slightly a quirk for a software-based or a Atlassian-like SaaS company which design products for other companies. We'll find a very different kind of companies who have a slightly different ritual on the incident management, right? So we want this product to be able to be customized by our customers, right? You take the good parts which you like, customize it the way you want, what works for your incident management process, and use it, right? So these are some basic principles when we set out to design and sort of solve this problem, that what actually will make it useful to the company. I mean, we could club tens of things and say, wow, it works brilliantly, but if it doesn't solve an actual problem, it's not a solution, right? So we look into first the core of an agent, right? If you have attended some talks in last 3 days, this is something hopefully you already been knowing by now. So I'll not go too deep into this, but I'll just see what basically powers our agent. Note that this is not specific to just the IT-based incident management agent. This architecture could be practically applied to any agent you are going to design in today's world, right? true today till today. I don't know if something comes tomorrow, right? So yeah, okay. So this is uh, basically a very high level design of the how the agent decision making works at the core of an agent. The important thing to note there is a capability. So think of a capability as something like what your agent advertises it can do, right? So if you have a agent that sells that it can be a good, great writing assistant, right? So what are some of its capabilities? It should be able to summarize your work. It should be able to change the tone of your work, right? It should be able to write in say multiple languages, right? So all these are three different capabilities. So usually an agent by design should have multiple capabilities to for it to be a comprehensive agent, right? Now we use a Langchain like framework to sort of make a decision making on which capability should I trigger based on what you are doing and what is your query, right? Because again, as I mentioned, there are multiple capabilities there, and you are trying to sort of, especially in a war room like situation, you are trying to sort of work with me to solve a problem, right? So we use Langchain like framework. I'll come to why it's called Langchain like and not Langchain itself. A framework to sort of solve this problem. So one of the sort of highlights of this framework is it allows that real-time decision making based on user queries, the context which I just created, based on where you are, what you have done, past your past conversation history, etc., and what those capabilities are defined. So how do I define my summarize capability there? Actually, sort of helps my decision making engine to say, okay, this guy is particularly looking for summarizing capability. Let's go and invoke that, right? And again, then the final step is response generator. It's basically after you have triggered the capability and the output you have got, how LLM sort of tailors that output based on what kind of user you are and what you are actually looking for to start with, right? And if agent is not clear with what you're trying to do, ask some follow-ups too, right? So this is how this works. Again, there will be a lot of literature already on this. Uh, why I said it's like Langchain because this is in-house developed proprietary work. We have not used any open source for this, primarily because it allowed us to move really fast and launch several agents in the market as an Atlassian. Also gives us a lot of control on how we wanted to design it. So as I said, we wanted our customers to customize agents at some point of time, right? And gives us a lot of control on explainability. So if you build a SaaS product, and it was frankly a new experience for me in last 10 months, a lot of your customers ask why this is happening and what's happening, right? And if you just like take in some open source product, it's sometimes difficult to explain why some things are happening the way it's happening, right? And then we added some good sort of improvisations. For example, you could use the same agent framework to power a lot of your in-product experience where you don't need a conversational bot medium just to surface the same capabilities, right? So capabilities, right? So now I'll just focus on specific capabilities which we say our agents provide for you to actually help you in the incident resolution, right? We'll look into what those capabilities are and some glimpse of how it's being built, right? Again, as I said, this is a live product, so I might not go into all the details, but I've tried to put slides very much relatable to a lot of open source examples, whether it's models and stuff like that, so that you could follow what I'm trying to sort of say here, right? So one of the sort of like historically 50 to 60% of incidents are repeated, right? Either they have a common root cause, common source of a problem, or a common human mistake, right? We have found it through multiple research, and that's why a lot of AIOps offerings have from times immemorial and offering of just similar incidents, right? What we did is we sort of exposed this data to our agent and let sort of mine it for you, right? So it sort of mines it for you, helps you with sort of setting how severe this incident could be. You've just started an incident, you've logged an incident. As as a customer support engineer, you don't know what could be the impact. It helps you say that in past such incidents usually blow up. It actually costed company a lot of money. I think you should escalate, right? So saves you that time of actually making a decision, making should I escalate or not, right? Similarly, as a persona of an on-call, it could tell you that previously in a similar situation, you basically rolled back your system, right? Should you go back and see whether it's the same problem and roll back, right? So it makes you that gives you that suggestion on what to do, mining on your previous incident information. If I say what this information usually is, so think of an incident logged as a Jira ticket where you recorded what happened with the incident, comments were synced from your Slack, and then you kept your priority, severity, everything logged there. And then you also attached your postmortem report which explained what happened there, right? So that's how Atlassian has an offering an ITSM tool where users actually record these things, right? So that's where we mine to actually help you with your incident resolution, right? In terms of implementation, a very standard RAG-based implementation. So whatever you read of RAG, we just went ahead and applied. So we use standard bi-encoder models, slightly tuned on the tenant level data for indexing and retrieval, followed by re-ranking. And then agent interface to actually mine that data. So I sent 10 similar incidents with all hydrated data back to agent, and then use the agent decision engine to actually mine that information and surface what you are looking for, right? Another similar RAG-based sort of implementation on a slightly more comprehensive uh, recommendation system is using your knowledge base articles to basically suggest you some solutions or some resolutions, or what to sort of how to solve this problem, right? So again, it follows a very standard RAG-based thing where the agent comes in is basically, so on the right you will see is a standard Rec 6 recommendation system, right? You would have seen this architecture tons of times, right? You have your data index somewhere, you have a model complexity which keeps growing as the number of data points get reduced, and you finally get the result. Most of the recommendation system works like this, right? Whether it's enterprise search or whether it's an actual Google search, right? But where agent actually starts making sense is once a user query comes in, it has all of the context, what you have done till now, what conversations you had with agent right now, where you are, your incident details. It has already amended all that to create your queries, reconstruct your queries. And it creates multiple queries, expands, it's using a standard query expansion techniques like synonym expansion, etc. And then sends it to this search system for search. Once it gets search results, it actually tries to mine, is something relevant to my user's query, and then finally generates a response back to the user. So how in real world it actually plays out is, now previously I've told you you have to roll back the system, right? But you are a new engineer, or maybe you have never done a hotfix back in 1 year of your tenure in this company, right? How should I roll back, or how should I do hotfix? It exactly pinpoints this is a way the hotfix needs to be done. These are 5 steps which you need to follow. Do you want me to take that steps also, right? Depending on your integrations, it can also take that steps for you. Right? Another similar sort of high level derivatives using the previous two example is, it can also suggest you first responders. I am either an SRE who's looking to major system and don't know which team to reach out, or again a customer support engineer who don't know which team to reach out. It can actually suggest you few good responders based on your previous two information and complex mathematical models over that. We have not yet went ahead with the complex neural network models on this, because we still are waiting for a product market fit on this particular thing. Right? Again, any good ML recommendation systems need some sort of feedback loop mechanism to understand how well we are doing with quality. Very standard metrics, as you see, all of the previous capabilities at least we discussed are standard ranking and recommendation system things. So we are also using a very standard ranking matrix to sort of understand the quality of our suggestions. I'll come at the end on why some of this basically doesn't sort of help so much, right? One thing is, we also try to look at some agent-based metrics, right? Try to sort of innovate a bit with how can we sort of capture agent-based metrics and understand a bit more about agents, right? One of the pitfalls we have found with this particular agent is, because assuming you don't mess up your systems every day, you will only interact with agent hopefully once in, and we don't want you to interact with the agent if you're not broken your system, right? So some of the regular retentions just on the whether they are coming back to the agent itself, etc. For example, the last one, right, might not be so great metrics for this particular kind of a problem. You don't have incidents every day, you don't have a regular occurrence, there is no periodic time series prediction on that. You could make that there will be an incident every month on your organization, right? Another interesting capability is, so currently whatever capabilities we discussed were more on our recommendation, ranking and stuff like that, right? Another interesting application LLM has found is, how can a Gen AI based problem statement or Gen AI based applications could actually help you, right? And postmortem reports are based on kind of organization and kind of practices you follow, are one of the basic rituals of an incident management process, right? In lot of cases, if you do this right, the number which I mentioned, 55 to 60% of repeated incidents could highly reduce, right? So, and we realize that there is a lot of friction in creating these postmortem reports, because usually no one wants to go and write this. You are, as soon as the incident gets resolved, you are put to some higher priority work, and the postmortem report keeps lying. And 2 weeks later, when it's actually due, and you are sort of trying to club it at night before that, you are already lost on a lot of details which you remember about 2 weeks ago, right? So we try to sort of automate this for our customers, and it's one of the highly used sort of application, as you could understand, because it's in the right intersection of that automation and AI, and actually solves one of the very much used sort of a feature, right? So what does this PIR generation do? It helps you make sense of all the things you did. So because I was everywhere as an agent, I could actually make sense of what you did when you did, right? So this is where the postmortem, your agent is able to track your events and sort of create a chronological order of what happened, how it happened, and what actions you took, and maybe even suggest what could you have done as a resolution steps, right? This you will find in papers I'll not touch because of lack of time. But basically, we have put together a very high-level diagram of how, if you want, you could implement something like this, right? Again, some important points here. We use highly 1P and 3P data, so where you're conversing, where you're using Zoom, Slack to your incident management, we use that to sort of generate this. We have to really tune prompts using all of state-of-the-art techniques like placeholder prompting, role prompting, etc., to make this very much customized for different tenants. Another interesting application of LLM you'll see here is an LLM as a judge, right? This is very interesting because, again, this kind of application, you can't use standard RIC6 metrics to measure their efficiency. So we have tuned LLM as a judge on a human-graded exercises and then use it at scale for our production systems, right? So quickly onto the challenges, right? So we have seen slightly different kinds of capabilities with increasing complexity, right? And again, as I said, this is live product offered by Atlassian. So what are the challenges we sort of actually faced besides the standard system challenges, right? So the most important is how you can be still privacy compliant, right? With LLM, it's very easy to breach the privacy. Just send one thing to an LLM model sitting outside and you just breach that contract, right? So you have to be very careful on kind of solutions you design and how it caters to all kind of privacy contacts you have with your customers, right? Another interesting thing is, as I mentioned, heterogeneous nature of our tenants. So each solution needs to be customized at some sense for a tenant. You can't share models, you can't share data, right? Accuracy, again, in enterprise, unlike a user B2C business, you don't get a lot of quick feedbacks. Again, in this case, you will be having for each tenant, maybe few incidents in a month, right? So there is a lot of delayed feedback for you to actually act on your quality, right? So these are some of the challenges we faced when we ship agents as an enterprise software, and we are continuously sort of looking into this, right? So what we have sort of seen, we have seen, and actually all the terms you must have heard in last 3 days and even last 2.5 years, how it came together to actually ship an enterprise-ready solution, which actually customers are finding useful. We have a prediction that some of our customers are seeing already an 8% reduction in the MTTR just because agent is everywhere and helping them with less context switch, helping with a lot of this task which they anyway did during an incident resolution, right? And as I said, we are still sort of quite early into this, so we are tackling all of the LLM challenges around hallucination, as well as one challenges we mentioned around about improving the quality, where we are struggling to sort of get feedbacks quickly, or we can't share data, so we have to tenant-based models, etc. Right? So a long journey ahead, but I hope if I come next time here, there's something different from what I have here. Okay, thank you.
A bit of an off-topic question, but the question is, how do you kind of take care of the timelines around the AI projects, given the fact that it's probabilistic, you really don't know when you're going to crack it to a point where the accuracy is very high, latency is very low. So how do you kind of set those expectations with the leadership teams?
Got it. So again, not an official spokesperson of Atlassian.
Yeah. Nothing's official in anything we talk.
For the last 10 months, so again, take it with a grain of salt. But at least for these projects, Atlassian is currently operating on an sort of like an something on steroid, right? So we are very much sort of like, we know we might miss this bus. So there is a lot of sort of push to get this right? Usually, Atlassian needs to put some of these things on the public roadmap, right? So once you put in public roadmap, it's an official commitment, right?
Right.
So usually the things we try to put on public roadmap is something we already know is in the beta phase, already released to tenants, right? So some of the products you're seeing now started at least a year ago.
Got it.
Yeah, I have a question here. Excuse me. Yeah, here.
Yes.
So you mentioned about the feedback, you just touched about it, but didn't explain, so I thought I'll ask you. So when you produce some results, right, they may have a lot of errors, right, and you need some feedback to be given. So question is, how do you take the feedback? What you might explore different strategies, what you find most effective, and also when the feedback comes, how are you using it to produce a better result when the similar queries or similar incident happens?
Okay, so I can't share much on this again because it's a ready-to-use product. But I'll say is uh, one of the interesting application of this is so other systems are you're mostly operating on your standard recommendation systems, right? So we believe that if you get that right, bearing hallucination, you will be on a quite close quality, right? The interesting part comes in something like Gen AI generated PIR, where you're generating a very critical data on a like where you're generating a very critical report on a very critical data, right? So that's where we are still improvising. We have tried to use few LLM as a judge through tried different models, tried different techniques of human plus machine to grade them, right? And then bake them in, right? But again, you might find something more in the paper, right? But that's about what I can share at this point.
Yeah, I have a question. Yeah,
Yep.
okay. So for the cold start issue, do you have any approaches as of now? Any learning methods?
Uh, so So for cold start issues, we are not offering certain features for now, right? So we, for example, something like PIR doesn't need a lot of data, right? So we offer you that. That's why the customization part comes in, where you could just enable an agent with just one feature. And we hope that over the time, as you have more incidents, so 3 months, 6 months, you will be able to solve a lot of this. Also, we have a in pipeline bunch of features which doesn't depend so much. It's a more Gen AI kind of features, so that makes this whole buffet good. By the way, I've only discussed the 4 capabilities, but to make this agent work, there are tons of other simple capabilities like NLP to search and stuff like that, which makes these things work, which is also quite useful in an enterprise scenario.
So then I have, you mentioned about hot fixing using agents and identifying the past reports, preparing automated report generations, and also, see, all things are revolving around incidents, like whatever happened and all that. So do you have some kind of like idea about the root cause analysis of those events? Because
So
events are coming from thousands of sources and multiple events might be correlated, right? So agents can figure out the root cause of that event, right?
possibly, I can't comment more than that on that for now.
Sorry?
I can't comment more than that for now, right?
Okay.
On the root cause analysis and what we are doing there. But yeah, I agree with your point that we need to have. It would be great to have a root cause analysis somewhere.
Because RAG
somewhere.
won't work, CAG won't work here because that's everything is coming as real time. Agents should work. So just want to know more insights. Maybe we
So
can take it
I relate
offline.
with your problem, but I can't say what we are doing with it, right? So
Oh, really? Okay.
okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Chandan. Thank you so much. Please give him a big round of applause, people.